counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to another edition of the program Healthy Relationships. Let me say good afternoon and welcome to Petreece. Petreece, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tiffany, and good afternoon to all our viewers and listeners. And indeed, life has its ups and downs, but we continue to trust in the author of our salvation, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
He is our Prince of Peace. And we know that we are more than conquerors. In the end, even though we might be losing sometimes on this side of eternity, in the end, we will win. We will win, right? And we want everybody to be on the winning side. So please, accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. We want you on the winning side, all right? So yes, Tiffany, I'm happy to be here. I hope things are good on your end. And I am continuing with 10 things you need to know about relationally intelligent persons. And again, this program is about healthy relationships. And I know that most of us, might be all of us, but most of us want healthy relationships where we can handle conflicts well, where we can make people feel heard and understood, accepted, where we can have disagreements and even sometimes agree to disagree and the relationship is still strong and moving on. And so what I am continuing with is to look at using my own personal experience, my training as a counselor, and even the Word of God in looking at not all of them, but some ones that sometimes we overlook, in what are those practices of relationally intelligent persons. So I would have done 5 in part 1 in the first program, but what is relational intelligence? And according to T.J. Addington, he is an author and a consultant, right? He says that relational intelligence is a part of emotional intelligence. And it is the ability to relate to others in healthy ways. And of course, that would involve things like, keeping your boundaries intact, negotiating conflicts or differences with others without breaking that relationship, understanding who you are, even what you believe, and even being able to not get enmeshed with others and entangled with others. Some persons really drama is about their life and not being enmeshed in these sorts of situations. So I'm paraphrasing him, not totally quoting him, right? So those 10 practices of relationally intelligent persons are, and again, there are more. 1, they possess self-awareness and healthy evaluation and expectations of people. Number 2, they don't take part in gossip. Number 3, they are good listeners. Number 4, and this is so important, they can show and communicate empathy with others. And this is what I'm calling not just cognitive empathy, but this is compassionate empathy, because there's a big difference there. And I would have dealt with different types of empathy in a program before on 10 things you need to know about empathy. They can manage their anger. And I also did something about anger, and I'm really grateful for clients, but also persons who have listened to it and gave me feedback that it is actually, the tips I have there is actually working. So if you're listening to this program, you can go on FBN TV and look up for that program on the 10 things you need to know about anger, because it deals with tools for managing your anger in a healthy way. Number 6, treat everyone as priceless and seek to please God in all their relationships. That's number 6, which I'll be starting with today. Number 7, disagreements don't mean the end of the relationship. Number 8, they can compliment others. That's a big deal. And number 9, they are not defensive. And 10, relationally intelligent persons forgive and they seek forgiveness when they have wronged others. And a part of that is They are peacemakers. And again, I'm saying these are not all, but I felt these are some that we don't think about, and I wanted to put them in there. So starting at number 6, and it treat everyone as priceless. So relationally intelligent persons treat everyone as priceless. They don't see people as just a means to an end, you know. I need to get something done, and I could use this person. It doesn't really matter how I interact with them or how even I treat them after they have done for me what I want. And they don't put people on a pedestal. Yes, we understand that people are priceless, but we also understand that people have strengths, weaknesses, and issues. So treating persons as priceless, and priceless means that you're worth a lot, a lot, a lot. There's no figure you could put to the worth of a person. It's really debunking or getting rid of certain mindsets that we have about a person's worth, even our own worth. So when I ask people things like, how much are you worth? Or what makes you valuable, or what is your worth based on? I get all kinds of answers. So my worth is based on the fact that I do X, Y, or Z. My worth is based on the fact that my friends love me. My worth is based on the fact that I contribute this to society. My worth is based on the fact that I'm a child of God, and these things. But the truth about it, your worth is based on the truth that God assigned worth to you, and He assigned that worth, that you're priceless, and He demonstrated that you are priceless by sending His Son to die for you so that you can have a relationship with Him and spend eternity with God, the creator of the universe. That's how valuable you are. So Adam and Eve sinned, and that separated all of humanity from God. But God created you in His image and likeness and assigned that worth. Your worth is inherent. There is nothing that you can do or not do that can add value to you or take away value from you. And God demonstrated that. So it wasn't just that, yeah, God made me priceless, but there's no demonstration. He demonstrated that by saying, son, I want, whatever your name is right now, to spend eternity with me. So you have to die. Because if they die for their sin, they'll be dead. I need you who didn't sin to die for their sins so that they can be in my kingdom. And that's how valuable you are, right? There is nothing that you have done, good, bad, ugly, will do that affects your worth. It's to get worth. Because we understand our worth, we live the way we live. Right? So I am not more valuable than a vagrant. I am not more valuable than a murderer. We are all priceless. The problem is many of us don't understand our worth, and therefore we don't understand the worth of others. So I always say to people, how people treat me is not necessarily an indication of my worth. It's an indication of their understanding of their worth. So when I taught my daughter manners, I taught her manners from, you are entering the presence of a priceless being. You need to acknowledge it. You need to say good morning. You need to say good evening. You're asking for something from a priceless being. You need to say please. You need to say thanks. And so these things are very important. So one of the things of relationally intelligent persons is that they understand the inherent worth of a human being. And therefore, there's a way to treat human being. And that is why when you look at the greatest commandments, it's not just love God. It must start with loving God. But the Bible says, how you can say you love God and you don't love your fellow man? Right? Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. Why? Because you are priceless, but so is your neighbor. So is everyone else. Right? So is everyone else. And when we think about that, then it's very critical. Relationally intelligent people respect people because they understand their worth. no matter who they are, no matter what house they live in and how many degrees they have, they understand that. So, in respecting people, they allow people to maintain their dignity. They don't manipulate, exploit, or take advantage of others, right? They don't try to negatively tear people down. They don't force persons to do things, right? And even when someone is doing something wrong, it could be their lifestyle that may be unhealthy or not wholesome, they correct them in a way that leaves their dignity intact. So you're not trying to mash up somebody because you don't like what they're doing or what they're doing may be wrong, right? They understand that these behaviors don't affect a person's worth. You are still priceless. You may be an alcoholic and doing horrible things, but you are still priceless. Your behavior needs to change, right? And they even are empathetic in that, if I were faced with these same circumstances, I might probably be in his situation or her situation, right? They also, in terms of respecting people, treating people as priceless, acknowledge each person's personal autonomy. People have a right to make their choices. And we may not agree. We may not agree, right? That's okay. Allow people to make their own choices. That's a part of respecting people. It doesn't mean you don't say what you need to say, you don't give the guidance, but know that they have the choice. And it is God who gave choice, not man, right? Number 3, we remember, so respecting persons because they are priceless. Remember that just because you believe something, it doesn't mean that everyone else is obligated to believe the same thing. So you exercising and you're losing weight, right? And you're looking at other people and even saying, they're just lazy. They just don't have discipline. They're just sickening. And it may not be that at all. And a lot of times it's not that. So you do your exercise. That's good, right? But don't act as if you're better than others because I am now on this exercise journey, right? We are different. Part of respecting persons is also really listening to people, and I dealt with that in part 1. We also, part of respecting persons, relationally intelligent people, respect people. You treat other people's ideas with due consideration. You don't just dismiss what they have to say. You think about it. You listen to them, to their opinions, their advice with an open mind. You don't have to agree, but you give them that benefit, that respect of thinking about what they have said. Now, you may have people who have very harmful things to say, like they are racist and their ideas are very racist. You're under no obligation to listen, and you can let them know that what they're presenting is disrespectful, right? You don't intrude. Part of being respectful, and we are respectful because people are priceless. Or you show that people are priceless is the way in which you treat them with respect, right? You don't intrude on people's time and privacy. You might see somebody doing something, you don't just barge in. Sometimes you may ask if this is okay, right? Of course, if you see somebody in danger, you need to barge in and help them if they are not seeing it, right? If something like if you're sharing a house or apartment with someone, you don't just invite people over without letting the person know, well, I'm thinking about inviting some friends or family over. Would that be okay to you? Because you're sharing the same space. You be mindful about your words. A person is valuable. Be mindful about your words. Your words are very powerful, right? And we can be incredibly disrespectful with our words, even with our tone. So think carefully about what you're going to say, right? And think about, is this going to hurt the person? And remember, it's not always about not hurting people, because sometimes we say things really nicely and it will hurt because it's something that probably needs to be said and they're not willing to hear it at that point in time. However, the Bible tells us to speak the truth in love. So we can't be, just because it's the truth, I could say it anyhow. No. We speak the truth in love. Of course, part of respect is good manners. Oh my goodness. Thank you is please say thank you. Say please. You're asking for something, people doing something, even in your messages that you may send via, different social media platforms. You're asking for something, you want to know something. Say please, say thank you, right? And another aspect of manners that we may not think about is actually not interrupting persons when they're speaking. So hold it a little bit until they finish and then share your point. That's another aspect of just good manners and showing gratitude. Really important. So thank people for the assistance and support they have given you on a regular basis. None of us, I mean, if any of us think about our lives, so many people say, nobody ever helped me. That is actually impossible, right? So most of us can identify people who have helped us on our journey in life. Please show gratitude. Show gratitude. That's a way of respecting persons. Do what you say you will do, right? If you say you'll do something, do it. That shows a respect for people's time, for people's energy, for people's effort. So if I say I'm going to do something, I say I'm going to meet you here, right? Do that. Even respecting other people's efforts by being on time, being prepared, being enthusiastic. So somebody's doing something and you show respect for it by the way in which I come on time for it, I show enthusiasm, right? And then lastly, if we're talking about being priceless, you need to also practice self-respect, right? Because not only am I, other people are priceless, I am also priceless. So respect your need for rest, respect your need for space, respect your need for peace, right? Don't let people just come and just bulldoze over you, right? And if somebody is disrespecting you, right, they're not seeing your intrinsic worth as a person, you have every right to call them out. You have every right to say to someone that what you're saying there is discriminating, it is cruel, it is sinful, right? And you can tell them why that is so. So we need to treat people with respect because they are all priceless. Very important if you want to be relationally intelligent, right? However, though people are priceless, they are not perfect. People will still let us down from time to time because we also let people down. We also disappoint. So placing our dependence wholly and solely on people, that is a way to have one of the most discouraging, depressing, stressful lives in the world, right? So it opens the door. When you place all the dependence on people for happiness, for peace, for love, no, that's not going to work, right? It opens the door to so much anger, resentment, and just disappointment. We need to know that God is our source, which is why we need to have a growing relationship with God. He is our source for love, for peace, for comfort, not a person, not a human being, right? If I already feel loved, it's so much easier now for my husband to love me, right? Because I know, all right, okay, right? So that is very important. So treat all persons as priceless, not a means to end, but know that only God is your source. So number 7, another practice of relationally intelligent persons is that disagreements don't mean the end of the relationship, right? Just because you have a disagreement, it doesn't mean the relationship is over, right? All healthy relationships have disagreements, all, right? It is inevitable, just like conflict is inevitable. Just like getting angry once you're around people, it is inevitable, it will happen, right? Once we are in relationships with others, once we're working together, sharing resources, interacting with them often, disagreements will occur, right? Our disposition as relationally intelligent persons is that it is okay to disagree with a friend or colleague, it does not mean the end of the relationship. So, people in relationships, right, who end relationships or cut off relating to others because they say we disagree or I don't agree with them. When a lot of times you check into it further, you realize they haven't even spoken to the person. Um, the other person don't even have a clue about how they feel. There was no discussion about the disagreement. So in a real sense, in this relationship, some sort of disagreement happened and they just cut off, right? So there was no time to truly understand, hear each other out, forgive, learn, make changes if necessary, become a better person as a result, right? Some persons don't share major disagreements. They just leave the relationship without discussion. And sometimes they do that because they don't want anyone to question their course of action, right? So, like, I know they wouldn't agree. You have this feeling, so I done. I know we don't talk. You don't want anybody to question or to your course of action or even to discuss this situation. And being willing to discuss major disagreements shows that you truly value your relationship, your friendships with persons, right? And also that you value truth. You value truth. And some persons just run from conflict. So their relationships remain very superficial and there's very little personal growth or even spiritual and emotional growth. And their relationships, of course, are impacted. So once things okay, they're wrong, but once it seems to have any kind of disagreement, they're done. And some persons, um, it's hard because they have a know-it-all attitude, so I'm always right. So if we have a disagreement, you feel like it doesn't make sense in talking with this person, and that's a different kind of situation. So we have to remember that disagreements don't mean the end of the relationship. If disagreements don't mean the end of the relationship, it means we must learn to handle disagreements. We must learn to handle them, right? And Todd Smith from littlethingsmatter.com says, if you end up still disagreeing after having discussed the subject, handle yourself with dignity and class. We are as different on the inside as we look on the outside. We all have different life experiences that cause us to view situations differently. And always remember that what may be logical to you may not be logical to others. Just because we may think we are right does not necessarily mean the other person is wrong. There have been many times when I was convinced I was right, later to learn I was wrong. And that's a real thing. And sometimes we could be dealing with two rights. And how do we get through this? Where we need to seek God's wisdom, right? Very important. Don't try to express your disagreements or try to resolve disagreements via social media or over the phone. Try to meet with the person in person, right? But then if it only can be done over the phone, if that's a last resort, use that as a last resort. So remember that we can also agree to disagree. There are some issues where we would never agree upon them, and that is okay. We can agree to disagree. Well, girl, this is how I see it. I really can't see it that way. Well, Petreece, and we say, okay, once these are not things, matters of eternity, we can agree to disagree, right? And that's okay. We can still be friends, right? And when a disagreement is resolved, please put it behind you. So we have said what we need to say. We have asked for forgiveness if there was any forgiveness necessary at all, or whatever it is, we put it behind us. We don't bring it back up to use it against the person. We put it behind you. So the next time you find yourself disagreeing with another person, ask, is this subject important to me? If it is, ask questions with a genuine desire to understand the other person's position. If you can't reach an agreement, be proud of the way that you handled yourself. Disagreements are inevitable. Handle yours tactfully. Show respect for the other person's position. So you don't say things like, you're talking stupidness. That is stupidness. That don't make no sense. And I could see that coming from somebody like you. We don't do that, right? Show respect. Listen patiently to all points, and above all, protect your relationship. And I found this quote from Mandy Hale, and it said, never let a small, petty disagreement cause you to shun someone who genuinely has your back. Learn to overlook small things. I mean, there's a place of overlooking small things. But even when there's a disagreement, if this is a friendship or relationship where, we've really been through a lot together, and this person, he has always had my back, she's always had my back, then let's try and work it out. Now, not everyone is willing to work out stuff, eh? That's the reality of life. But you can only do what you can do. You can only do your part, right? So conflict is best handled with individuals prayerfully and humbly focusing on loving others with the intent of restoring relationships. And you have to remember, to us followers of Jesus, we have guidelines to go by in scripture in how we deal with conflict, how we deal with disagreements. And 1 Peter 3:8-9 says, finally, all of you live in harmony with one another, be sympathetic, love as brothers, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. And many people are blessed because of how they have treated others. And people say, oh my gosh, yes, because they have treated others with sympathy. They have tried to live in harmony. They have been compassionate, and they have been humble, right? It doesn't mean that you're accepting bad treatment from people. No, you stand up for yourself because you are priceless. And number 8, another practice of relationally intelligent persons is that they can compliment others. Compliment as I'm giving you a compliment. Wow, Tiffany, that dress looks wonderful. Looks wonderful on you, right? Now, all people have a need for affirmation. Everyone. So while some people, it's not like they need it all the time, but everybody has that need for affirmation, which is why if we look at scripture, God says so many wonderful things about who we are, right? That is God giving us affirmation. Even his son, he said, you are my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. That's affirmation, right? It will truly be a blessing if every day we could throw out a life preserver, right, to those who we meet, by just giving people a genuine compliment. And relationally intelligent persons understand the power and the need of compliments, and they compliment others, right? And there's something interesting about giving a compliment. When you give a compliment, not just the person who you gave the compliment to feels good enough, you also feel good that you've given that compliment. So it is one thing that when we do it, it blesses the giver and the receiver, right? And actually research has shown that a person receiving a genuine compliment gives the same effect as a person receiving a cash prize. Now, some people say, look, give me the money any day over the compliments, right? But receiving a compliment has the same sort of effect. Of course, I suppose it's limited in some way, right, as a person receiving a cash prize. And it's unfortunate though that even though compliments are so powerful and it is something that we can do every day, many of us kind of stingy though with giving compliments. Like why though? If somebody's looking good, why not tell them? If somebody did a good job, why not say so? Say it, compliment people, right? Give them encouraging words. Um, Author and husband and wife Brent and Kate McKay, they shared some very informative article on compliments, and I'm just sharing from some of their work. And a compliment can truly be all that stands between someone being successful and someone giving up, right? Stand in the gap and offer an encouraging word. Sometimes the person just at the end cannot deal with this anymore. You just give them some kind of encouraging word, some compliment, and that could be a game changer, right? Compliments help children to learn new tasks. I tell parents even in discipline, positive reinforcement. You catch children doing something good and you compliment them and you praise them. And this actually causes them to want to continue to do that good, right? Compliments can strengthen and even soften relationship. Compliment conveys respect. Relationships are built on respect. So compliment especially in terms of family members, husbands, wives, please use it. The power of the compliment, right? Compliment also increases your circle of influence. People actually like surrounding themselves with people who make them feel good about themselves, right? And compliments do that. Now, this is not mama guying people, I don't know if you all know that too, but fooling people, stinging up their head. No, you are given a genuine compliment, right? And that causes people to want to open up to you and to be kinder and more loving to you, right? Compliments also help us to be less cynical. And I know it, as people get older, I'm getting older, right? You see so many horrible things in this world. So many things that you thought were good, and you hear the backstory behind it and realize, wait now, is all that was going on behind there when I thought that this was wonderful and good? So you could become a little cynical. You could always become, you're always suspecting, when is the other shoe going to drop, when I'm going to hear that this good thing really is bad, you know? But when you start always looking for reasons to give, to offer compliments, it increases your sensitivity to the good things that happening in life, right? The admirable things. So every day, find somebody to give a compliment to. So how to give a compliment? How to? Just start paying attention, First thing about becoming a good complimenter, if that's a word, is to recognize the opportunities to compliment people. So just pay attention. Somebody, the hairstyle look good. Wow, I love how your hair looking. I like your shoes, right? I like the amount of effort you put it into doing that. I like how you take care of your son. You're seeing the person every day going to school with his son. A compliment. Compliment the small stuff. You don't need to wait around for some big accomplishment to tell somebody, right? And be specific. And being specific, it actually sounds like a more sincere, it conveys sincerity, a sincere compliment, right? It shows that you're really paying attention. Mom, I really like how you take care of your son every day. I see you all going on the road and, you always look so clean and tidy and wow, God bless you. God bless, they say, wow, that person looking at they seeing something good, right? Of course, be sincere. Be sincere. And to be sincere, you must really, truly admire the thing that you're calling out for praise, or else it comes out not sincere, right? And you can tell when a compliment is not sincere sometimes, I suppose, right? Or if a person is lying, and that can erode trust, because human beings, we pick up more than just words. So if I don't truly admire something I'm complimenting, it will come off. It will come out as insincere. Yeah? And in giving compliments, you want to avoid the backhand compliment. The backhand compliment is really not a compliment. Eh? It is really an insult disguised as a compliment. So, your food tasting surprisingly good. That is not a compliment, right? Right? Wow, boy, you're smarter than you look, You're smarter than you look. That is not a compliment, right? I'm really impressed. I didn't think you would stay so long in the job. Okay, right? You look really good considering your age. Those things are insults. They're not compliments, right? And the way to avoid a backhand compliment is to resist the urge to add that other part, that modifier, to the original compliment, right? If someone did something good, just say that your food tasting good. Now, you might have thought the person can cook, right? But okay, you can tell them that somewhere, but, wow, girl, your food tasting real good. Great job on that presentation, right? Nothing more, and leave it there, right? You could also explain how the person's great qualities affected you. So, you say something like, wow, your smile really brightens my day. So that's a compliment, right? So as get that one from people, Huey especially, right? Your attention to details really made the job a lot better. So you're letting the person know how what they do impacts you. That's a way to give a compliment, right? And compliment people in front of others too. So that shows that, I am willing to say that I admire you. I'm letting others know that I admire you. And also you have the second-hand compliments where I say something like, wow, I want you to tell Tiffany that I think she does an excellent job on her program. I listen to it every day and it is such a blessing to me. Wow, she is amazing. God bless her. So I'm not telling Tiffany, but I'm telling someone, and I'm also telling them that if they see her, they could let her know, right? Just right. So we could also do that. Even in me sharing this, I want to give you listeners, viewers, a compliment challenge. For the next week, challenge yourself to compliment 5 different people every day. So it could be a loved one, a friend, a co-worker. You always go into the shop or to this business and the people treat you well, right? A young person, a stranger. Sometimes you see a stranger and they're wearing something that look nice and you can tell them, wow, I love your shoes. Take up that challenge. Every day compliment somebody, please, right? Ask God to help you to become a person who has a warm heart and never hesitates to offer encouraging words to those you meet. And number 9 is that you are not defensive. Relationally intelligent people are not defensive. And being defensive really is about you want to avoid facing anything that feels like an attack, whether it's an attack on your intelligence, attack on your character, attack on your lifestyle, attack on your decisions. It feels like an attack. It doesn't necessarily mean the person is attacking you, right? And you need to overcome this if you have to be a relationally intelligent person. And I always say one of the ways, if somebody is talking to you about something, and it's even about yourself, it starts with how you listen. Listen to say back what you heard the person say. So don't listen to defend. I'm hearing you saying this and I'm going to say back exactly what I heard you say or paraphrase or summarize. So I know when I'm open my mouth, that's what I'm saying. It helps to dampen our defenses to want to defend ourselves, right? And you need to also pay attention to your triggers. What triggers defensiveness? You need to also, sometimes you may need to get counseling. I'm very defensive. I know it. I need to get counseling to help with this because defensiveness destroys relationships. It destroys relationships. And sometimes we need to set boundaries because there are some people who are just disrespectful and very harsh. And we need to tell them, listen, I'm not going to be listening to you if you're speaking to me like this. And number 10, relationally intelligent people, they forgive. They forgive and they seek forgiveness when they have wronged others. They are peacemakers. So we don't carry around a whole lot of hurt that causes us to be angry and grumpy and all these things. When we are hurt, we forgive. When we have hurt others, we forgive others. And we are peacemakers. And we have to remember, God expects us to be peacemakers. Romans 12:18 says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And forgiveness is part of that. Tiffany, closing here.
Thank you, Petreece. Thank you. All right, I'm looking at the time. Would have loved to squeeze in a call.
Me
so
too.
If anybody would like to call at this time, please feel free to do so. 622-1981 or 628-1981. I will take your call now if you call me right now. All right, just a couple of seconds set into the top. In the meantime, just want to remind you guys about the books you can get on Amazon. All right, what my parents. All right, so I'm getting a call, Petreece. Good afternoon, caller.
Hello, good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Miss Petreece Cuffie. Of course, I can't believe I forget the name, and that's correct. My husband listens to you on here. He's as well in our work. I just want to say how much I appreciate your program. It's always an encouragement to me. And today I sit down and I listen like if I'm in a classroom. So you have been a great help to me. Thank you very much. May the Lord bless you. That you may continue to do this great job, encouraging people and giving advice each Monday afternoon. Thank you. God bless.
You're most welcome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. And God bless you and your family.
You are welcome. Go with God back on you.
Thank you, Pam. God bless you. God bless you. All right. So let me just remind you guys about the books, What My Parents Taught Me About Sex, Marriage, and Choosing a Husband by Petreece, Huey and Petreece Cuffie, A Mind for Christ by Huey Cuffie, and these are available at Amazon.com. Her WhatsApp number 329-7383. Send a message only and she's going to respond to you. And across the hour, we're going to give you some more info. But at this time, we're going to wrap things up. Petreece, thank you so much once again. We appreciate you. God bless you. And
You're welcome.
until we meet again, have a great one.
God
Take
bless
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Petreece Cuffie, counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.